Hey folks, Brian Maffett here from Total Training. With a tool set as powerful as After Effects, there are almost limitless workflows that people have adopted to suit their own situations. But in general, most jobs follow a similar path. You can certainly create elements from scratch, but most people start by importing elements that are stored on their drives. The project window allows you to keep all of your elements organized as your projects grow more ambitious. You work on these elements inside compositions, or comps for short. Comps are similar to the canvas in Photoshop or artboard in Illustrator. Whether you're applying an effect, adding some type, moving some elements around, everything visual happens inside compositions. You can adjust elements through direct manipulation in the comp window, but for ultimate control, including animation and setting up complex layer relationships, you do most of that work in the timeline. Compositions can be nested inside other compositions, like smart objects in Photoshop, only with a lot more control. Effects are, of course, an important part of Adobe After Effects, hence the name. You add effects to clips using the Effects menu or Effects panel. You can search for effects once you get to know the ones you like, or simply scroll through the list for inspiration. Once applied, you adjust effects in the Effect Control window, or in the timeline. Or, in some cases, you can interact with effects right in the comp window. Often you'll need to animate elements or effects, which you usually do by setting keyframes here in the timeline. If you want to get fancy, you can animate using expressions. If you get a project from someone and you see red text in the timeline, that's an indicator that an expression is at work. Once you've completed a project, you'll need to export it, usually as a movie, which you do with the render queue. While each composition has a native size and frame rate, the render queue allows you to override all of those settings and export exactly the size, frame rate, image quality, and compression settings that you need for your final elements, and a whole lot more besides. So that's our basic workflow. Elements come in or are created from scratch. We adjust them in the comp window, the timeline, and the effect control window, and we export the final results with the render queue.